So before we go any further, I do have to get something off my chest. That is, I am a huge fan of Harry Potter, but kind of like a half-hearted fan in the sense that I've never read any of the books, but I've seen all the films many, many times. They were a big part of my childhood, and I think they are all absolutely great. And I even think that Fantastic Beasts, the first one, was pretty decent. And, you know, I was looking forward to Fantastic Beasts 2. Yeah, this is the first bad Harry Potter film. I think the best way for me to describe my feelings towards it is that I feel very similarly to Jurassic World 2 in the sense that it's got a really, really great director who actually is really, really trying and is really bringing a lot to the film from a visual aspect. It's got a great cinematographer, a great composer, great actors, and a basically flawless opening scene. But all of this is unfortunately ruined by the script, which at the end of the day is kind of the most important thing to a film. The script for this film is incomplete. It is mediocre in the sense that there is so much telling and barely any showing. I mean, J.K. Rowling actually wrote the script, and of course she's a genius. Her creativity and her imagination has created this incredible world. They're trying to do so much that they've completely forgotten the point of these films. It's just fun entertainment with great characters and great stories. And that's no longer here. And I think that my problem with this story, this film, boils down to two things. Way too many characters and way too many setups. There are so many characters in this film, it is a joke. The four main characters, you know, the ones from the first film, they do not go through any form of change except for Queenie, who joins Grindelwald for some reason. I don't know why. He wants to, he thinks that he's better than Muggles, but she's in love with a Muggle, and yet she joins him because he says he will allow her to marry Jacob even though he hates Muggles.
That's exactly my point.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
And Newt and the other one, Catherine Waterston, they go through no change. As much as I love Eddie Redmayne, and he plays his character really well, the character himself does not go through any change. He's literally the same person from the beginning of the film to the end of the film. I will say that the only character who goes through a proper arc would be Leta Lestrange, who I thought was pretty good, but I didn't really care about the character at all. So when she died, I was just like, yeah, that's fine, I guess. But Zoe Kravitz was pretty good. I just think the character needed a little bit more fleshing out. And that is another problem that I have with the story, is that because there are so many characters, it was really hard for me to care about them. They didn't spend enough time building up these characters because, you know, the Harry Potter films were some of the first films that truly got under my skin. I hated Umbridge, I hated Bellatrix, and my heart broke when Sirius died. And it was one of the very, very few times when I actually had to rewind on the DVD player because I had to check if he was actually dead, properly dead. It really affected me as a kid, whereas Fantastic Beasts 2 did nothing for me on an emotional level. And again, it boils down to the fact that these characters, I just wasn't invested in them. You have Nagini, who is why is she even here? She does nothing in the film. And Credence, who is one of the most awkwardly written characters, just kind of pops up and disappears for a while and pops up again. And the way they structured his character's presence throughout the film was a complete mess. And at the end of the day, Newt has his fans and stuff, but we're not here to see him, really. We're not here to see the Fantastic Beasts. Most of us are here to see Dumbledore versus Grindelwald. And they are barely in the movie. Grindelwald has, one good scene. And, I mean, he's good. Johnny Depp is decent, and so is Jude Law. But they're not in the movie enough for me to critique their performances because they're just not in it. Dumbledore uses his wand once, and it's when he's teaching his students. And the ending is one of the most, similar to Jurassic World, again, the ending is one of the most infuriating endings because the entire movie, right, 2 hours of the runtime, nothing happened really. Literally, nothing really happened. And then there's just this big twist that Credence is a Dumbledore, which probably makes no sense in the grand scheme of things. And they expect us to get hyped for the next one, even though they didn't really spend any proper real time building up to it. It was just all set up and set up and set up, and there was no genuine sense of anticipation that was built. And then they just dropped this bomb on us that Credence is a Dumbledore, and they expect us to be hyped for it. But then they cut to black and they don't go any, I did not wait 2 years to see 2 hours and 10 minutes of setup. I waited 2 years to see a film with a beginning, middle, and end. I get that this is a 5-story arc, but you still have to give us a film. You still have to give us some great moments within this, some great story points, great character moments. And the only thing I got was that great opening scene, which again is flawless. And of course, J.K. Rowling probably has thought out the entire story. We're going to get some really great moments to come in 3, 4, and 5. But you can't just leave us like this. It's not. This is not a proper film. It actually baffles me that something like this exists, which in many ways is the complete opposite of Suspiria, which I'll be reviewing straight after this. But you know, Suspiria really surprised me in the ambition and the balls that the filmmakers had, whereas this one surprised me in the lack of respect that it has for the audience. You can't just throw us into this world and not give us anything fulfilling. That's not how it works. That's not how a film works, and it's especially not how a film that has this a huge fan base and has so many films that came before it. This is not how it works. I honestly do feel like this. Fantastic Beasts 2 is actually getting into prequel territory, and I do mean Star Wars prequel territory. There's actually like the scene where they like look for the stuff in the Ministry of Magic and all the columns pop up and down. Kind of reminded me of the conveyor belt fight from Attack of the Clones. This film is a complete mess that expects you to know everything, expects you to be on board, even though it tells you everything and doesn't show you anything. There's no subtlety to it. The directing is good, and you can see that a lot of the people are trying. I'm really looking forward to seeing where some of these characters go next. But if I'm judging this film purely as just its own standalone film, it fails on almost every count, and it really upsets me. I'm really, really disappointed by this film. I think on a technical level, it works well, and that's why I can't really put that much hate on it. If you really look at this film and you compare it to like a really, really great film this year, something like Hereditary, for example, Fantastic Beasts 2 is a lot harder to make than something like Hereditary. You know, months, years of people's lives have gone into the making of this film. The production design, the costumes, the visual effects are all A+. They are amazing. And, you know, you can tell that David Yates really cares. He's bringing so much to the table as a director. There's so much craft behind this. And again, this is a large-scale production with thousands of people's lives have gone into this. And so I really respect and admire all these people for putting so much effort into crafting this world, which does feel really well realized. But the story and the characters, which arguably are the most important things, were really, really shit. And I was disappointed by The Crimes of Grindelwald, and I was infuriated by this film that seems to have absolutely no respect for films or its audience. If I were to give this film a grade, I would probably give it a C or a C+. I would say that I do like it more than Jurassic World 2 though. I gave that film, I think, a B- when I reviewed it. I would probably bring it down to like a C- because that film has really gotten worse for me. Whereas I do find that Crimes of Grindelwald does have its redeemable moments. But that was my thoughts, more of a rant on Crimes of Grindelwald. Please, thank you very much guys for watching, and please stay tuned for my review for Suspiria, which will be coming out within the next few days. Thank you very much guys for watching. Thank you.